If PUA is not extended and FPUC is changed, will you get $400 or $300 starting late July? Hey everybody, this is LALATE with a second stimulus check and stimulus package update today. This is our third video of the day, as always, about PUA, FPUC, and UI. As you know, FPUC is at $600 from the federal government. The $600 per week from the federal government expires in late July. So will it get extended? What's happening? And there's new economic data released today that suggests the importance more than ever before to extend FPUC. Let me recap, because someone dropped a very fascinating comment and question in the video yesterday, and this is really quite important, and it is background. What is expiring in late July when we talk about all these word salads of FPUC, PUA, UI, all these horribly complicated words? Let me go through them very slowly with you. First of all, UI, unemployment benefits, are not expiring. Unemployment benefits are from the state. Second, PUA is not expiring as for those who are currently on it. Let me explain to you why. PUA was established by the CARES Act in March, and it provides 30 or 33 weeks of benefits from the date that you apply going forward. So if you applied for PUA last week, you would get 33 weeks going forward. So PUA is not going to expire, in a week from now, just after you got on it. That we certainly know. What we don't know, and this is what's a little confusing, and I don't know the answer as well, is that people who never went on to PUA, can they go on to PUA come August if it's not extended? I don't think they can. If PUA is not extended, the creation of PUA is not extended after late July, I don't think new applicants can apply for PUA after late July. That's what's a little bit confusing. Last, the thing that we absolutely do know is FPUC, that's $600 from the federal government that goes on top of UI and PUA, will expire in late July. So what's happening? Where's the good news? And what's the twists and turns? Well, the good news is there's new economic data today suggesting ever more so the need to extend FPUC. I'm making the mistake my viewers sometimes make. FPUC. What is that economic data? It says that 40% of people who made $40,000 or less in 2019 have now lost their job. Let me say that again. 40% of people who made $40,000 or less last year have now lost their job. That is an enormous number of people. So it's basically saying the people who are in the worst economic circumstance in the first place, pre-pandemic, have lost their job and now don't have a job. It's with that context you absolutely have to extend FPUC. You have to absolutely provide to these people money going forward. The other thing that we know is another new economic data released today that says those that make that says 90% of the U.S. individuals, 90% of U.S. individuals make $120,000 or less per year. So it basically says that the vast majority of American citizens don't make a lot of money, and of those, nearly half of them have lost their jobs. So that's the data. That's the economic data. It's really, what's good about it is it's so clear. What's also good about it is you can't run away from that data. I mean, the data is just right in your face. We also know the following other data point, which I detailed to you on Friday, which is unemployment claims. These are people who newly filed for unemployment, whether it's UI or PUA. It's now the 16th consecutive week of new unemployment claims over 1 million per week. Last week was 2.5 million. Unbelievable. It's an incredible number. And so of that number, we're at the 16th consecutive week of unemployment claims over 1 million, which has never been seen since the Great Recession of the 1990s. 66,000 new COVID cases were announced overnight nationwide. So 66,000 people are now unemployed today because they can't go to work if you're on COVID-19. 16,000 new COVID cases in Florida overnight, and 15,000 in LA County, or some insane, out of control. California, I mean, California's numbers are just ridiculous. The governor is just not doing the right thing. So you have all these clear unemployment numbers. So there you go. That is the clear news that you absolutely suggest every reasonable books to extend FPUC. The not so great news is what Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, who's a member of the Trump administration in the cabinet, Steve Mnuchin, who sometimes is inept and sometimes is out of touch, was very out of touch on Friday, saying that we don't like FPUC because if you look at it, 2/3 of the people on FPUC are making 200% more money than they were making before the pandemic. So we have to get rid of it. Okay. So he basically said that if you do the calculation of $600 a week from FPUC and you throw that on top of UI and you compare that against what people were making pre-pandemic, it's too much money. The good news is the backdrop to it. Republicans are really, and I'm not trying to be partisan, but Republicans are trying to say we're giving too much money. Well, the good news is that there's indication you still have to give money. You might not have to give, you can't absolutely say there's no money owed. And so a lot of the reports today, as Mitch McConnell tries to come and interrupt this video, as always with his helicopter, the indications are that $400 a week for FPUC might be one of the selling points, or $300 a week for FPUC might be the selling points, or $445. There's those numbers somewhere in the $300 to $400. Why? Because at that point, when the surveys that Steve Mnuchin's relying upon show that when you drop the FPUC weekly number, you don't have so much alleged overspending for PUC on a weekly benefit, on a weekly basis. So the good news is that we really do see FPUC getting extended. The not so clear news is what the amount will be, and that it doesn't seem like it'll be dead. It doesn't seem like it'll be $600, but it looks like it could be somewhere in the $300 to $400 range. That's where we are now. Now, we got a couple more weeks of economic data. The economic data could be a lot worse, and if it is worse, I will tell you. And if the economic data is worse, the number has to be higher. So there you go. Eric Zosner, who's a very kind viewer of this channel, had a great comment who I wanted to go over it from yesterday's PUA UI video, our third video of the day. He says, LALATE, give me a break. My partner is on PUA in Florida and makes $125 a week. What kind of money is that? As you know, when you start PUA, if you're an independent contractor or self-employed, or you start UI if you're a former employee, you start at the base level benefits. And the base level benefits can be as low as $99 a week in some states, as high as about $189 in some states. In Florida, it's $125 a week. Now, here's the rub. If you made more than about $30,000 or $40,000 a year last year, you can qualify for escalated benefits. There's two things to that. One, a lot of states' computer systems are just not working, so no one's seeing those escalated benefits. Two, it's hard to apply for the escalated benefits. And three, a lot of people are just not getting the escalated benefits. But so if you made $30,000 or less last year, you're exactly the person I was talking about in the opening remark. That 40% of those people have lost their jobs. So here's Eric talking about his partner in Florida, and his partner is making $125 per week in Florida. We all know how expensive it is to live in Florida per week. He says FPUC is what's keeping this country from going off a financial cliff. That financial cliff has been detailed by this channel extensively. I'm a lifelong Republican, so please don't understand that. And I'm agreeing with Ann Coulter, what she said yesterday regarding Mitch McConnell. Additional weeks of 125 is a joke. I'm sorry, LALATE, it is. The country is heading for a financial cliff, and no one sees it coming is amazing. And I'm a Republican saying this. Where is Susan Collins? Where is Lisa Murkowski? Where is Mitt Romney? There are moderates in the Senate. They need to come up with a bipartisan plan like the Democrats, like Joe Manchin, and pass something. Really great, interesting comment. I want you to react to his comment and drop your comments below. Here's a Republican who says, this is insane. You are not taking care of your citizens. Your citizens cannot live on $125 a week in some of these, in most of these states. I mean, this is not enough money. Let me go through where this financial cliff is heading that I've been talking about for days and days and days. First, this is what would happen if FPUC is not extended. And I give good news and I give bad news, and someone said I scare people. A hater, one of those haters, who's bad. I don't scare people. I tell people economic data and the realities of the situation, and this is the reality of a financial cliff. If you don't extend FPUC, and you have people without a job, lost a job, telling them to live on $100 a week, $400 a week. One, they can't make rent, generally. Two, they can't buy food. Three, when they can't pay rent and they live in a state that has no eviction moratorium, if you watch our other videos on eviction moratorium, it means to prevent them from being evicted. If they don't have an eviction moratorium, they're going to be evicted. Three, next, they're going to become homeless. Next, when people are homeless, the COVID-19 rate increases dramatically. What happens after that? If the landlord's suddenly evicting all these people who can't make rent, the landlord's making no income, the landlord is going to lose his or her property because they can't make their mortgage. Also, because the Congress has not extended a mortgage forbearance, which means it protects property owners from having their properties defaulted upon in foreclosure. Then banks will have all these enormous properties on their books, and finally banks will go in default, which is exactly what the Treasury Secretary and Jerome Powell don't want, head of the Federal Reserve. So it is just really weird. It is weird and it's strange. And I got to tell you, sitting here, and I'm not ranting, but maybe I am, it's as though someone is playing hardball but doesn't really mean it, or is completely uncaring, or is not focused. Because this is happening right now. If you saw our renters assistance video yesterday, the other data is the following. The number of evictions on the books that are currently being pending is just run amok. During the Great Recession of 2009, the number of eviction cases over several years, the last time we had a financial catastrophe in this country, was about, I think it was about $5 to $10 million, 10 million eviction cases over several years, 5 to 10 million over several years. Currently, in just a week, they have seen 10 to 20 million new evictions. And that's where half of the country has eviction moratoriums currently. So if you don't have these things taken care of, you have exactly what Eric Zoster is referring to, which is a very bad situation. Ultimately, I do think that FPUC will get extended. I think that it's going to get extended. I think it's a lot of hardballing. I think it's a lot of silliness. It's a lot of crazy manipulation of numbers by saying that we're giving people too much money, we're giving people too little money. There's an old saying when it comes to economists, and they've been repeating it all the last 2 weeks. Rather overspend than underspend, especially in the case of a pandemic. You don't underspend because ultimately you're chasing the problem and hoping you've caught up with the problem. If you underspend and say, I'm only going to give $250 a week for FPUC if I extend it and I'm a Republican, because that's too much money. If you don't spend enough and you see a financial cliff, you're going to go over the financial cliff. You will crash over the cliff. Rather than saying, let me spend a little bit more to ensure I don't hit a financial cliff, then you've protected the American society. If you have questions in today's video, drop them in the comments below, and we love to hear from them. coming up at a later date, more second stimulus check videos. Additionally, today, LA launched a new thing. A lot of viewers have been asking me questions about EIDL grants, EIDL loans, reconsiderations. And so today, LALATE launched a private Instagram account in which we want viewers to share with one another information about loan officers for EIDL loans, information about EIDL grant officers for EIDL grants, information about EIDL reconsideration officers for reconsideration. We also include in there a post about first stimulus and second stimulus check. For some of those who didn't get your first stimulus check, it shows you links to the IRS to route you to find where that check may be. It's a place for people to share information with one another and help one another, because that's the spirit of the site. So if you are interested, you need to do two things. One, subscribe to this channel. Two, go to LALATE_ on Instagram and follow that account. Send a DM and ask to be invited to that other account, that other private account, and you'll get invited into the account. All you have to do is thereafter share and help one another. It's a spirit of sharing that this channel is based upon. If you have questions, as always, drop them in the comments below. And as always, stay with LALATE for more.